Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today we'll be discussing Endgame. I can only apologize. So I've already covered the prologue, my initial thoughts in the book. So this is the second video of the series where I'm going into chapter 1 called The Queen and Her Piper and chapter 2, Shaky Ground. You guys, let me just start off by saying this is a hatchet job. This is a direct attack on the royal family. So far in my experience with this book, they have really gone after Charles, King Charles, especially. They go into a little bit about William, but it's mostly been, and a little bit about Camilla as well, but mostly Charles. And I mean, Omid has a clear axe to grind there. And by Omid, of course, I mean Harry. I have to say every time they deny working together on this book, but I also have to say it's got Harry's, everything all over it. Meghan's as well. I'll get into that. But Harry, in terms of the beef he has with his family, and this is basically Spare Part 2, Spare Harder. As always, if you're new here, thanks for being here. I'm Jen. Honk, honk, everybody. A honk because Meghan follower told me I sound like a drunk goose, so here we are. Trying to provide some lightheartedness before we get into this drivel. Oh, you guys, please send support geese my way. Send hugs, send alcohol, whatever you got. Send it on tea. No. Truly, I appreciate everybody's kindness in the comments section. We are going to continue reading this book. I can only ask for your thoughts and prayers at this dark time. All right. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 was boring as shit. He went into the Queen, and I don't want to discuss it because I don't think that's his business to discuss, because he goes into how she spent her final time and some of her her daily practices, such as the piper outside the window and the bagpiper outside the window, and her breakfast routine, things like that, that I am not interested in having these weasels. Thank you, Daily Mail, for coining that term for me in regards to Omid, but I think it applies to all three. I'm not interested in having any of these weasels try to tell me anything about Her Majesty the late Queen. That is, frankly, none of their business at this point. And yeah, I'm including Harry in this because the way he treated her, no, it's not his business how she spent her days. And frankly, I don't trust anything that the three of them say. So we're breezing over some of those details there because I get upset when talking about the Queen, and I don't think it's their right to try to tell us any information about Her Majesty the late Queen. All right. He goes into her fragility at the end. I find that a huge slap in the face because, as we know, she was still carrying out royal duties at the end. Her passing, and again, I don't want to go into this, so we're going to keep going. I found out that, again, I don't believe anything Omid says. I'm just putting that blanket statement out there. If this is true, we found out that Princess Anne was actually staying there at Balmoral, and King Charles was staying, within miles away. He was right there as well at Burke Hall Residence, it says. Okay, right off the bat, we're hit with some bullshit. So on page 25, if you're trying to follow along, please don't follow along. Don't buy this book. I got mine from the library. I say that every time. I'm reminding you all, I did not spend a penny on this book. I will not give them any of my money. All right. On page 25, I'm pulling it now so I can discuss it with you. Brings up, there's just so much bullshit in this book. It's not even the first bit of bullshit, just a big pile of bullshit. That the Queen's final journey from Scotland to England was originally planned for the royal train. All right. Then he spins it, and yes, I'm saying spins it, and I see you, Meghan. Hi. I see you. They're spinning it like, oh, she was going to go on the royal train, but at the last minute, they decided that it was much safer. He can't even explain it. Safer to travel on a plane. Safer for who? Safer. What are we talking about here? The way it was relayed to me and the way I understand it and the way I believe it, honestly, is that the train thing was intentionally told to Harold and Fraud to see if they were leaking, and sure enough, they were leaking. I have to slap allegedly on that. You know how it goes, but that is my opinion, my belief, and that's the way I understand it. But now, Omid, and by Omid I mean Meghan, is going back and trying to rewrite history by cleaning up things like this, or so they think. To me, it just puts a finer point on the lies, right? So they make a point of talking about this train, and I'm sorry, if it wasn't a lie, why is it even significant enough to mention in the book? It's just, to me, highlighting more of their continued lying. All right. That's the highlights that's the lowlights, if you will, from chapter 1. Let's move on to chapter 2, because this is where things get rough. It's called Shaky Ground. And believe me, chapter 1 was rough because, again, I will not tolerate them discussing Her Majesty the late Queen. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. No, fuck all three of them. Okay, let's go on to chapter 2, Shaky Ground. Oh, the three of them are on shaky ground, to say the least, right? So much to talk about here. This is where they really swing for Charles. I mean, more so than anybody, they really swing at Charles. They go into, right off the bat, Charles is mourning the loss of his mother and meeting with well-wishers. And what does Omid say? Well, and again, I'm including Harry and Meghan in this. What are the three of them accusing Charles of? Is that it was all orchestrated, that it was basically for show, that he had been training for this, and that he was just out there for the show of it to meet with people. You know what? I'm sure it was to an extent, and what I mean by that is not the dark way these three are. I'm saying if you lost your mother, you're kind of, we've all lost people close to us. You're on autopilot. So I'm sure to an extent it had to be a show because you're on autopilot dealing with a major loss like that. See, listen to me. I get upset talking about this stuff. Let's move on. All right. I hate these three, in case you wondered. All right. Page 34, they go right away into digs about the family needs to become more tolerant. Literally, they're grieving the loss of the Queen, and he goes into digging into them about being more tolerant. Page 35 brings up the Oprah interview and continues to take digs at Charles and says that he's trying to be modern, but he's stuck in the past. That I say, I'm sorry, who's stuck in the past? Because it seems like the royal family is picked up and carried on, whereas Harry and Meghan and Omid continue to rehash this stuff. So no, nothing they say makes sense. And I do want to reiterate things I've heard online about this book. It very much is sources say, with no actual details, background information, facts. Don't let facts get in your way, right? I think about Tom Bower's book, Revenge, one of my all-time favorites on this subject matter. Tom Bower does such a good job of backing up his sources, naming his sources, explaining where he found out what information, really creating a case for, everything. He doesn't just throw out statements, is what I'm trying to say. He actually can show the evidence as to why he feels the way he feels. Omid does not have this gift. Omid just throws out things, again, mostly about Charles so far. I know it's coming for others, but right now it's about Charles. But he does not back him up. He just says things like, sources say, I hear that things were tough. I heard that Charles, this and that. Just no facts to back anything up. So we're just supposed to take him at his word, even though all three of them are proven liars. It couldn't get more meta. As I'm recording this, we're dealing with lies and fallout from the, Dutch version of this book. So let's keep going. But as I mentioned, he brings up the Oprah interview and talks about concerns and conversations. Remember, those are Meghan's words. He's bringing it up. Even though it's been proven Complete bullshit. Most of the things said in that Oprah interview, the lies have been proven. She even claimed that Archie wouldn't get a title, knowing full well that's not how that works, that he did get a title. She knows this. She was trying to create controversy. There you go. So by bringing it up here, again, it's rehashing that. What it's doing is most of us can see through it, but the idiots like the Sugars and people maybe not so familiar with this that pick up this book that just tend to believe things are going to think he's trying to reignite this race card thing. It's just so it's so ridiculous. Once again, he's doing Meghan's bidding. He's doing what she does. When she doesn't know what else to say, she pulls out the race card. Here we are again. So then he goes on to call the royal family one blunder away from a scandal. Again, I'd say, hi, have you met Meghan? Harry and Meghan both, aren't they always? They're always blundering. They're always in the middle of a scandal. They throw themselves in the middle of scandals. He accuses Charles of having press in his pocket. Weird, right? Where have we seen that before? Oh, yeah, in Spare. Harry tried to pull the same bullshit. The other thing we saw over and over in Spare that is, again, this is why this is Spare too. Spare me harder. I made myself laugh with that one. Is because it's all about, there's so many passages I'm going to get to where it accuses Charles of being jealous over the press coverage and the attention that William gets. What are we talking about here? That is just more of Harry's nonsense rearing its ugly head. It's like Harry and Meghan just filled Omid up with more of their stories and BS, and Omid was like, okay, and just grabbed his crayons and started writing. That's what we got. And just anytime I see sources say, then I fill it in with Harry and Meghan say, because that's basically what we've got here. All right, moving on. Page 39, it goes into this false accusation, if you ask me, saying William is concerned over his image. William is not concerned over his image. William is concerned about his duties in becoming the king and his family and things, not the bullshit that Harry, Meghan, and Omid are accusing him of. They go on to accuse William and Charles of a one-upmanship game. And again, I say, really? Have you met Harry? Because I don't remember William releasing a book detailing every grievance ever about his father and his family. It was Harry that did that. But again, Omid must have short-term memory issues, right? Page 40 accuses William of doing exactly what Meghan does. You ready for this one? Yeah, me too. So the story they tell is that Charles had just had his first Trooping the Color parade since being named king. Okay. And then he goes in to fault William for sitting down with a rare interview to discuss, the change and what was going on. And I guess it looks like it was with the Sunday Times. Okay. And Omid has the nerve to say, can you believe he did that? Essentially wiping away any coverage of the special moment, stealing that from the king. Okay. Again, what do we know of Meghan, especially Harry and Meghan, but especially Meghan? Anytime, I just did a video on this, anytime the royal family has anything, that's what they do. They either try to do like some sort of parking lot photo shoot or concert or nonsense story out there, anything they can to try to wipe the coverage off the front page. So again, I find it laughable that Omid has the nerve to accuse William of doing this, and he can't even see that, oh, hey, maybe William was trying to support his father and give a nice interview and be supportive of the family. They can't even think like that. They just have to think about the way that, of course, Harry and Meghan act, which is, hey, let me try to steal focus. Oh, don't worry, the ridiculousness continues. Then they pretend like Charles is just completely mad at William. What for? Because William dared take up his environmental cause. Again, they can't even think in terms, and I'm talking about the three of them, Omid, Harry, and Meghan. They can't think in terms of a normal family where, hey, you might want to support the causes that are important to your father, aka the king. And it couldn't possibly be a supportive gesture or just something that William also, feels strongly about, right? It couldn't be that. It's just that, oh, they're competing with each other. No, again, that's what Harry and Meghan do. And, oh, God, the only one that can't see it is Omid. All right. Well, then he goes into when William and Catherine went to Boston, Earthshot, beautiful green dress, the whole thing. All right. He takes a dig at them for flying commercial. And again, I say, so you mean they suck to their word? Something that was important to William? He's there talking about the environment. He's not just talking the talk, he's actually walking it. And flying commercial, oh my God, the nerve. We're outraged. Oh, let's cancel them. I'm being sarcastic. But seriously, absolutely ridiculous. Harry and Meghan fly private for like a 45-minute flight and think nothing of it. And get mad when people call them out on their hypocrisy for lecturing us little people about the environment and then do things like that, right? And then they take digs at William and Catherine for flying commercial. It's just incredible. All right, but then it gets even crazier because they go into the events surrounding that Earthshot, right? Again, it was last year, the Earthshot, Boston. William and Catherine attended a Celtics game. All right, get ready to get your sick bucket. All right. These asshats are claiming that they were booed. That they booed William and Catherine. And then he goes on, I shit you not, page 41, and explains that it's quite different compared to the huge cheers he witnessed with Harry and Meghan. I'm sorry, I thought you were pretending you weren't friends, even though we have pictures of you guys, Omid's in the background of the picture at Meghan's last quote-unquote royal event she did. But yeah, no, they're not friends, right? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. By the way, here's pictures of them being completely, booed. I can't even say it with a straight face. Yeah, here's pictures of them with people, adoring them as they should, right? It's just absolutely ludicrous claims. And the funny thing is, one of my favorite things to do is go back and watch the video from this day because you can hear the crowds booing loudly for these two. Then he goes on to blame Netflix for dropping the preview for Harry and Meghan at the same time that William and Catherine were doing this tour. Because again, nothing's ever their fault. They don't have a history of trying to overshadow. Oh, no, wait, they do. Nothing's ever their fault. Oh, and then get this. He takes a dig at Catherine, Princess of Wales, and by he, I mean she does, and says, rather than buying a new outfit for Earthshot, Catherine made a statement. They call her Kate repeatedly, again, as a sign of disrespect, so I'm not going to do that. Catherine tried to make a statement by renting her off-the-shoulder green gown. Okay. He does go on to call it a genuinely good idea, but then berates her because she's never repeated that at any royal event since. I'm sorry, do you really want to compare who spends what on what ridiculous clothing? Because I'm pretty sure Meghan's going to lose this contest, always. Also, a case could be made for somebody who's, I don't know, going to be the future queen to spend some money on some clothes. What's the case for Meghan? She did 72 engagements. Oh, too much, but still outspent all the other royals? Yeah, no. Mm-mm. And then to really try to paint them in a negative light, talking about William and Catherine, Prince and Princess of Wales, he goes into how much this trip cost the city. He estimates it was like, $170,000, something like that. Okay. He puts it in writing in the book. And I ask you this. First of all, how does he know that? Second of all, how does he know it wasn't paid back? How does he know anything? He doesn't. But okay, let's say it is that. How much did Harry and Meghan cost with their near catastrophic car chase that's made up? How much did that cost everybody? They're quick to try to sweep that under the rug and not want to discuss it. And Omid doesn't even mention it so far in the book. Maybe it's coming, probably not. But he's quick to try to, again, call out, disparage William and Catherine. So again, utter nonsense, total bullshit. The good news is by pointing out or showing how ridiculous he is, it's at least making it a little bit more entertaining, because I can think of a million examples with every sentence I read of why this is, in my opinion, coming from Harry and Meghan, Harold and Fraud, and how they actually exhibit all the bad behavior that they're now accusing everybody else in the royal family of doing. And I find that very funny, because once again, they are all about the hypocrisy. Oh, you guys, this book is, it's dreadful. After taking swipes at William and Catherine, Prince and Princess of Wales, he then goes back to taking swipes at Charles once again and points out or claims that Charles has had a plethora of money-related scandals with no citing of what those might be or what he's talking about. Then goes on to say he's doing little right. Again, the nerve of these three judging anybody in that family for anything, but especially their work ethic, their ability to accomplish. Again, I ask you, how's that working out for Harry and Meghan? Because last I checked, they've failed at everything they've tried, including this ridiculous book. Oh, you guys. So that wraps that up. I'll keep going with the book because I don't want to let this go, in terms of I'm going to continue to call out the lies, the hypocrisies. I'm going to show you why it is my opinion. I have to say that. It is my opinion that Harry and Meghan are completely behind this book, but you guys are smart. You already know that. The nerve of these three, but the nerve of Omid to go in and write this book and to, again, just claim sources. Oh, okay. Does that just cover you for anything you want to say? Okay. Guess what, guys? Sources tell me that, I don't know, pick something. Chris Hemsworth thinks I'm great. Why? I don't know. Just sources tell me. So it must be true, right? Is that the right one? I don't know. Whoever plays Thor, the good looking guy. I don't know. That one. He thinks I'm great. Why? Because sources tell me I'm great. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sources tell me I'm rich too. So I'm not going to check my bank account and see the change I have in there. I'm going to see. I'm just going to believe it because sources are telling me it, right? It's just like their truth. They always say their truth. Oh, okay. Their truth. Not the truth. Their truth. My truth is they're all full of shit. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will continue on with this drivel. I will continue to call it out. Definitely let me know your thoughts on this one. Can't wait to read it. Can't wait to hear it. I really can't. You guys have the best comments and I appreciate it. It brings some comic relief to this otherwise disgusting situation with these disgusting people. All right. If you want to further support the show, you know how to do it. Check out my merch. We got Recollections May Vary. Again, couldn't be more apt to the situation. Not bloody likely. I think I could follow every sentence in this book I've read so far with not bloody likely. What else? So we got Make It Make Sense. And of course we have Drunk Goose Club. Honk, honk, everybody. From this drunk goose. And then, of course, we have Patreon. Patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. That's where you can find my bonus episodes, my deep dives, my extra content, and just a great group of flockers. We had the best time over there. We have conversations about all this. Again, I do bonus content, all the things. So check that out. You can become an executive producer just like the geese and ganders you see before you on the screen. I will continue to talk about this stuff. Can't wait to read your thoughts on all this stuff. And I truly hope you all have the best day. I hope you have a better day than Harry, Meghan, and Omid. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.